We're so happy that you could join us for yet another edition of the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Today we're going to be talking about the first Republican presidential debate of the year. Now, before we get into that, let me just say that our naval officers or troops were on their knees as they supposedly ventured over into Iranian waters. And after all of this grandiose supposed deal that was brokered, this is the way our American citizens, our American fighting personnel, service personnel is treated. We'll be talking about that too. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and welcome once more. Well, last evening, as we said, there was the first Republican presidential debate of the year, and there was some new things that perchance we were kind of happy to see, but then there was a lot of the same old crapola that we didn't necessarily have to see. These three groups of people that perform in these debates need to step up their maturity level. Now, I know a lot of you are out there saying, Phil, what are you, three groups of people? There's only Democrats and Republicans. Well, we can't forget about these journalists or wannabe journalists. They're ridiculous. Every question, well, not every question, but a lot of the questions that come out of their mouths have nothing to do with the issues that we face as a nation, but more would be more suitable to middle school campuses or playgrounds or something. It's signifying, it's instigating. It's like they want these people, these delegates or these candidates to actually get into fisticuffs with each other. It's very immature. Immaturity seems to be the theme of this presidential debate or this decision 2016, which I find quite annoying. Another thing about it last evening is where in the world did they get the camera personnel, the people that operate the cameras? First of all, they were zoomed in too close, and then when they had split screen, either one person was shown almost in entirety, and the other person, it was just like 1/4 of the person being shown. Then they would switch over and get a full shot of the person, but that person would be over to the right. I mean, kindergartners could take better pictures or, exhibit better photographic skills or videography skills than these people. It's just ridiculous, the unprofessionalism of these supposed journalists. Now, let's get into the actual debates. Well, as we alluded to earlier on the show, a lot of it centered around our, soldiers being on their knees before the world with their hands behind their heads, which is just totally unacceptable because our fighting men don't get on their knees to anybody, and supposed Iran, after this deal was brokered, was supposed to be somewhat friendly, and that's what John Kerry was trying to promote. That if we hadn't broken this deal, that the fighting men wouldn't have been released so quickly. Bull crap. They weren't supposed to be on their knees anyway. And then old bastard turns around at some point within the not too distant future is going to send them $150 billion. What, for humiliating our service personnel? This is reason one through infinity why Democrats should be out of there, and hopefully Republicans can get in there and set some kind of a new tone around the world to give us some kind of credibility and respectability, because this is ludicrous. And as one of the commentators on there for the debates last night said that, and I think he's some kind of former military big muckety muck, that the Navy isn't going to take this laying down. They're going to investigate it 6 ways to Sunday and find out exactly what happened, because naval or military personnel in any branch of our military, we don't get on our knees to people. Get out of here. Also, they're talking about Iran is cooperating. That's not cooperating. They violated that deal by doing that crap. Oh, well, they're taking out 25,000 pounds of radioactive material that they could make bombs with. And so while we're all looking at the ship sailing out, we're not paying attention to the possible ship with 100,000 pounds of nuclear material to make bombs sailing in. You know, I don't trust these bastards. They'll do anything. They've broken the treaty already, the deal. It's ludicrous. That's bad. So that permeated a lot of the debates last evening. When the divisive questions asked by these idiots finally died down, they were actually able to get into some things like immigration, ISIS, the protecting of our country, and that ever-present crapola immigration, which I feel that shouldn't even be talked about because, you know, we have done enough by the way of immigration. That's why one of the reasons we're in $20 trillion worth of debt. A lot of that stuff I'll cover in our next show that we do. Has government gotten too big? And we'll talk about a lot of that stuff. Well, as I said, they talked about some things. And so we're moving on into the Iowa caucus and then the New Hampshire caucus and then Super Tuesday. We're now beginning to see these candidates and really assess who we'd like to see get the nod for the Republicans and hopefully get that presidential office in 2017. So, you know, like I said, it's pretty much cut and dried. It's the same old rigmarole. There were some new things. Ted Cruz's birth and eligibility for president came up. You know, as I first heard it, I said, okay, the guy was born in Canada. He's an American citizen. What's the deal here? But then Donald Trump came up with some new information about he was actually a registered Canadian citizen. And I'm just going on what I heard. I haven't, you know, researched it, and I really don't care to because you know, that's their business. And, you know, if he's an American citizen, then he's eligible for running for president. If he's not, then it'll come to the forefront. And I think Donald's concern was that the Democrats would and possibly, or could and possibly would, knowing them, use that as a stick to, you know, crack Cruz's head with. So he, I guess, was admonishing the guy to get that straight before it becomes a political monster. Another thing that was brought up was something that Cruz said about Trump, that he had New York values, and Trump didn't like that. He felt it was a slap in the face to the New York citizens, and you know, that went on. So that was something that was kind of new. What can I say? It was basically the same thing. In my opinion, there are too many debates because they're getting on there and they're just doing this reputatious stuff. They're getting on there and they're doing this reputatious stuff. They're getting on there and they're doing this reputatious stuff. So I mean, you know, that's what I'm sensing on that. So I think there are a couple more on the Republican side. I know that Slithery Clinton and the Democrats are supposed to come on this Sunday. Which is weird, like, you know, there's football stuff going on and other things going on. The last thing you want to look at is a debate, but she did that by design, she and the CEO of the Democratic National Committee. So, you know, basically, like I said, we're still information gathering. We're still trying to figure out, for those who haven't already chosen their special candidate, we're still trying to do that. And hopefully we will get to that before Super Tuesday, because that sort of solidifies the ones who have actually stayed in and who are going to carry it on to the Democratic or Republican conventions in the summer. So that's all I have to say about it. I wish they would grow up a little bit more and represent themselves as more of a united front before the world and before the Democrats. Slithery Clinton, according to what I've been reading, is slipping a bit, and Bernie Sanders, Mr. Together, is kind of rising up. But I wouldn't count out old Slithery because she didn't get that name from me by just wanting to be comical and whimsical. She's a snake. She slithers like a snake, and she'll do anything to further her sadistic purpose, which is getting into the White House to give us 3 terms or possibly 4 terms of old bastard. So we don't need her in there. For those of you who might be wondering who I'm giving the nod to, I haven't solidified it just yet. I can tell you who I definitely don't want to see in the White House on either side of the ticket. As far as Democrats, I do not want Slithery Clinton in the White House in any form or fashion. Bernie Sanders, big question marks there for him. And that O'Malley guy, he and Slithery Clinton make my skin crawl. Sanders, he's pretty much up there too, but that O'Malley guy and Slithery Clinton, oh God. Now, on the Republican side, I do not want to see Kasich, or however you pronounce his name, in the White House. I do not want to see Jeb Bush in the White House. And I think the exec has something to say as to the reason why he and I both don't want to see that jerk in there.
Well, probably too many Bushes already. That notwithstanding, whenever he seems to be on stage and speaking about whatever his agenda is, whatever his opinion is, whatever his plan is, he seems to have this air or aura about him, his demeanor when he speaks, like everything he says is solid gold, factual and true, and he's better than everybody, and what he's saying is what's right, what everybody else is saying is wrong. And I know it seems kind of hard to get that much information and that much idea about a person from what he says, but it's just his persona and the way that he speaks and carries himself when he speaks. It seems just like everything I say is right, and I'm already the president, and you guys can't do anything about it. That's just the way it is. Everything I say is pure gold, like I said, and everything I say is right, true, and correct. Nobody can deny that. I didn't like that about him. He has too much of an attitude like that, and I don't like that.
Well, if you notice, his brother, W, was very cocky and very, much with attitude, what have you. So maybe it's just something that runs in the Bush family. But I definitely would be hard pressed to see that guy in office. He seems to have a lot in him against Trump in him. He's always, viciously attacking Trump. They went to a bit of a skirmish over the China thing. Donald wants to, say if these guys aren't going to play by the rules and trade fairly, then they need to be sanctioned for it financially. And he went on and had a little tete-a-tete with Trump. And he always seems to want to bring down Trump, for whatever reason. So I would not want to see those two in there. It's just ridiculous. So as we press on with this decision 2016, as I said before, do your homework, do the best that we can to find out who we should put in that seat come 2017, and hope that they can do a good job for us. I guess you might be wondering, well, Phil, you haven't told us yet who you might be giving the nod. Well, I'm not going to tell you, it's a secret. No, I was just kidding. Christie, I like the way the guy handles himself. He does a lot of camera work, and interacting with the American people. He looks right into that camera and he speaks to the American people as though he were right before every one of us potential 300 million or so in the country. He's very decisive with his answers. He knows what he's talking about. He stands behind his convictions. I like that. Mike Huckabee, I like him. He's a little religious, but yeah, okay. But the guy, he's got some damn good ideas about foreign policy. He's got some damn good ideas about, what we need to have happen here at home. And, they both have good ideas about this ISIS crap over. And surprisingly, Rick Santorum, the guy's been around the belt a little bit, and he looks pretty good. I'm kind of looking at him. But my first choice would be Christie. Second choice would be Huckabee, and coming in third would be Santorum. So that's, you know, who I'm looking at for possibly voting for. I wish they were doing a little better in the polls, although polls aren't the end-all, cure-all of everything, but I wish they were kind of up there a little bit more in the mainstream with all the other 8 that are still up there. So that's my spin on it. Just stay vigilant and, you know, so we can make a well-informed decision. We don't want any more of Obasser's tactics in there, because we've had that, you know, up to the neck bone and beyond. So stay safe, be happy, and join us right here again for the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We're glad to have had you on this journey. Bye-bye.